If you look at the 4-year lawsuit that Ripple went through, it forced them to do business outside the United States. I think that's going to help them tremendously as now they can rekindle the relationships here in the US. They've built massive relationships outside in Europe, Japan, big companies like SBI Global. So I'm really looking forward now for them to take the next step. I'm hoping we get this Clarity Act across the finish line. Regardless if it's a perfect bill, I think Brad said it best today, it's better than chaos, which is what we had, for all that time under Gensler. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I think they can really make their mark in a lot of different areas, whether it's cross-border payments, remittances, tokenization, the AI agentic economy with AI agents, paying AI agents. It's all exciting, man. Looking forward to it. So you always have to kind of be on the edge of your seat. You got to be ready to pivot, adapt, change. I think it was Naval Ravikant. He's a guy I listen to a lot when it comes to entrepreneurship. He said the biggest winners of this decade are going to be those who can learn, unlearn, and relearn the fastest. And I love that, right? It makes a lot of sense. What you knew today might be thrown out the window tomorrow. It's an exciting time. I know altcoins haven't had their day for a long time, since 2021, and I think we're going through a pivotal moment. I think Grayscale earlier this year put out their report and called it the institutional era of crypto. So, going back to that previous point, you have to adapt, you got to change. Obviously, XRP is part of that build out, right? You really want to be focusing in where the institutions are focusing. If you're a retail investor, that's where the big money's coming in, and I think that's how we'll be able to win in the end as a retail investor, trying to front run some of that.
What's going on, family friends? It's day one of Consensus. We're right outside of the EZA hackathon. I've got Zach Humphreys, a pivotal voice in this DeFi ecosystem, a major profile on X. So this is an exclusive interview. Zach, how you doing today at Consensus?
I'm doing great, Ray. How you doing, man? I love the energy out here, that's for sure.
You're bringing it, man. So thanks to you. It's day one here. What have you noticed? I mean, this is a proud conference, some major booths. Ripple's a sponsor here. We're right next to their Didn't Fold XRP logo. What's sticking out to you?
No, it was great, man. I listened to Brad earlier talk about, the recent acquisitions last year in 2025. And, he basically said, hey, now it's all about putting everything together. They built all these great relationships. And it's going to take a while, right? Bridging this gap from TradFi to DeFi, and Ripple's right at the center of it. It was awesome hearing them talk about the energy out in Vegas at the recent event too, and I think a lot of people brought it here to Miami, man.
Oh, absolutely. My voice has recovered a little bit. I don't know if you saw, but I went down to the Bitcoin conference, which right outside every window of the Bitcoin conference was a visible XRP ledger billboard. It was almost like XRP was in the face of every Bitcoin enthusiast. It was brilliant marketing. That's what it takes, though, for Ripple to leave a dent in the universe. What excites you the most about Ripple?
Yeah, obviously cross-border payments is huge. I think there's a lot of competition in that space. So a few other things that I think, where Ripple can really put a mark on things: tokenization and agentic AI. And these are things that are already on the table. They're here. Last year, I was really excited about the tokenization deal that Ripple signed over in Dubai. I think they could expand upon that. If you look at the 4-year lawsuit that Ripple went through, it forced them to do business outside the United States. I think that's going to help them tremendously as now they can rekindle the relationships here in the US. They've built massive relationships outside in Europe, Japan, big companies like SBI Global. So I'm really looking forward now for them to take the next step. I'm hoping we get this Clarity Act, across the finish line. Regardless if it's a perfect bill, I think Brad said it best today, it's better than chaos, which is what we had, for all that time under Gensler. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I think they can really make their mark in a lot of different areas, whether it's cross-border payments, remittances, tokenization, the AI agentic economy with AI agents, paying AI agents. It's all exciting, man. Looking forward to it.
I wouldn't be surprised if some of these hackathon participants right behind us are leveraging the X402 payment standards for the AI agentic value exchange and other interesting developments that are coming through the ledger. Can I ask you, Zach, while I have you here, what does XRP mean to you?
I think what it means to me is a real company that's trying to build for the future. Bitcoin is what it is. I love Bitcoin. It'll always be right up there as my top holdings. I just look at it as a store of value digital gold. But in terms of companies that are actually trying to change the game and change the economy, change finance, Ripple's right at the center of it. And they're one of the OGs. They've been here since 2017. They had a little 4.5-year, roadblock, obviously, but Brad said this earlier too, and I've said this in videos, most companies would have folded like a cheap lawn chair. They would have just basically gave in. Obviously, Ripple's been here and they withstood the test of time, and they got through it. So they mess with the wrong company when they mess with Ripple. That's for sure.
I think you're right. I think the government underestimated the amount of, or the deep pockets that Ripple has, or the access to liquidity. Now, before I let you go, Zach, for those in the audience who are not in this room today, what would you say to them?
Man, get out here. Try to come to a conference. I'm telling you, Bitcoin's one thing. The Bitcoin conference is great. I think what Consensus does and what Token 2049, what they do is absolutely phenomenal. If you really want to get your name out there and network in the space, everybody's out here at Consensus. Everybody's at Token. And so, get out there and build in the space, man. I mean, this is a great time. I tell everybody, you don't have to do what we do and, be a voice online. Go find a marketing gig. Find your way to where you're not just an investor in this space, you're actually building with it.
What's your background? Because you're a professional, you're well-spoken, you've got a great perspective on things. In this world where things are moving fast, people make quick decisions, there seems to be tribalism, there's a lot of things that can create that fear, uncertainty, doubt. How did you create your conviction? But well, let's get to that one next. But what is your background, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so I was a sports broadcaster, actually, radio
Really?
TV for about 7 years. Yeah, and I also was a professor for a while, too, teaching broadcasting, teaching communication classes. But, started investing just on the side, just had the entrepreneurship bug a little bit, if you will. And I said, well, I think the easiest thing for me to do is start a YouTube channel. I'm not afraid of the camera. I'm not afraid to go on there and talk the talk. And so I just basically was real with my audience when I started, all my stuff about 6 years ago. Hey, you're going to come along with me for the ride. I don't know much, but I think I know just enough to get started. And yeah, man, we've been doing it now 6 years. I've been full-time YouTube content creation, started a number of companies now since 2021, and enjoying it, man. The brilliant thing about this space is every day is different. I just can't personally work in an environment where it's like doing the same thing every day, and you never get that as a content creator, especially in Web3.
Yeah. You formerly are a professor. Do you think that these new, we're right outside of a hackathon. Do you think that the new ways of education, finding a job, employment are changing? What are your thoughts from your perspective?
100%. I think the narrative is AI is taking a bunch of jobs, right? And on some level, it's true, but it's taking the jobs that are repetitive, like these things that humans do that are repetitive tasks. If you can learn to work with the AI, you're going to really set yourself up for success. And I think you could do that in Web3 if you learn how to build certain tools that, let's say, crypto traders want to utilize, right? There's a multitude of ways, I think, to take advantage of this AI build out right now. And so I'd be first and foremost looking there. And but all these companies, man, like they're always hiring for, some type of marketing professional, some type of head of growth. So, whatever avenue you want to take, there's a ton of opportunity. And I'll tell you what, man, from what I've seen on LinkedIn, like starting salaries are pretty good in Web3.
You don't need to be a builder just to survive and succeed and thrive in the space. Software needs someone to tell the story. And that's what Zach is doing. That's what I'm trying to do my best at, is to put a light on the developments in the space and actually document our own personal journeys of educating ourselves and just echoing it to our global audience.
In this space, you have to have a beginner's mindset. I talk about this all the time in my X space and videos. The minute you think you have it all figured out in this space, that's when you lose your edge. If we were investing in the same things and thinking the same way as we did in 2020 and 2021, when I personally first got into the space, I wouldn't be doing very well. So you always have to kind of be on the edge of your seat. You got to be ready to pivot, adapt, change. I think it was Naval Ravikant. He's a guy I listen to a lot when it comes to entrepreneurship. He said the biggest winners of this decade are going to be those who can learn, unlearn, and relearn the fastest. And I love that, right? It makes a lot of sense. What you knew today might be thrown out the window tomorrow. But, if you're an entrepreneur and you thrive in that kind of environment, you can definitely make it in Web3, whether you're just investing or hopefully building too in some form or fashion.
Last question.
Yeah, man.
What's inspiring you on this journey? What's keeping you going? What's kept that conviction?
Well, I love making content. And so I love I love this space just from you never know what's going to happen. And investing is something I fell in love with. I really never went to school for it. I was never a finance guy or a numbers guy. It was more so I just want to do what I love to do. And so I kind of found it by accident, but I'm glad I did, man, because I started falling in love with it every single day. And I enjoy it, man. And yeah, I mean, I'm excited to do it for a long time.
I don't know if you found it. Maybe it found you, from the benevolence that you've showed being a professor, the courage to get on camera, and the humility, staying humble. Because like you mentioned, once we let our egos take control of our emotions, it distracts us from the true value or making the right decision, or just so many opportunities can be missed when you let your ego speak. Before I let you go, Zach, any final words that you'd like to leave with this global audience here?
It's an exciting time. You know, I know altcoins haven't had their day for a long time, since 2021, and I think we're going through a pivotal moment. You know, I think Grayscale earlier this year put out their report and called it the institutional era of crypto. So, you know, going back to that previous point, you have to adapt. You got to change. Obviously, XRP is part of that build out, right? You really want to be focusing in where the institutions are focusing. If you're a retail investor, that's where the big money's coming in, and I think that's how we'll be able to win in the end as a retail investor, trying to front run some of that. But it's going to be exciting, man. I think, you know, for a lot of assets, there's a lot of great days ahead. And yeah, we'll be here for it, man.
We're going to be here. We're going to be here for a long time. Zach, where can those in the audience follow you and learn about everything that you're building in this space?
Zach Humphreys on YouTube, Zach Humphreys over on X. Those are my main two platforms. We run a daily X space, Monday through Friday, Crypto Breakfast Club. We've been doing that for like 3 years now, about 30,000 monthly listeners on that. So love it. We've had some big names in there, Grant Cardone and, you know, the works. But yeah, come check us out, listen to the content, and we'll see you in the next video.
See you in the next video. Grant, if you're tuning in, make sure you give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. Tell Zach you say hello. Zach, thank you for sharing your time with me. And it's been a pleasure just brushing elbows and allowing my audience to learn more about you and just the sharp focus that you have on the space. It's refreshing, sir.
Enjoyed it, brother. Enjoyed it.
Thank you.